Good morning. I decided to film this on my hot girl walk. So last week we talked about getting to the moment where you decide, you know what's been going on cannot continue. You've decided it's time to change my life. Now I want to give you 8 steps that I have been using since I made my decision to completely just overhaul my life. And specifically, I don't want to cut out women in their 30s, but I just turned 35 in September. And I just feel like I want to make the last 5 years of my 30s better than the first 5. And my 20s were a great time. 30s were good too. The beginning of my 30s, a lot happened. I had my first baby, second baby, 2 kids, got married. A lot happened. But now it's time for me I feel like I almost plateaued a little bit. I feel like if I can just come up with a plan and stick to it. And honestly, I've started implementing these steps, and that's why I wanted to share it with y'all. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I wonder how this is going to translate on camera because it is super foggy, but it's really pretty. Okay, 8 steps to redefining yourself, redefining your identity, and becoming the woman of your dreams. Let's go. Okay, step 1, get honest about who you have been. Get honest about who you were so that we can make sure that we don't make those mistakes. But it's not just about the negative parts, what is and what is not working. Okay, so I've noticed for me, Calicia, I've noticed that I shine best when I am in spaces that allow me to be myself completely. And I've also noticed that I have mastered performing over the years. I haven't even noticed that in many of the spaces that I've occupied over the past couple decades, I've been performing just for acceptance, ultimately. So one thing I've decided for the last half of 35 is that if it doesn't feel right, real right, just don't do it. It's not even that deep. Feeling like you've got to go to everything you're invited to, I can't. If it's not resonating like that, I'm going to add value to the space, not going. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. You can kind of figure out what has been not working for you or what is working for you. But I know that at this point in my life, authenticity is key. If I can go and be myself and I don't have to worry about protecting myself or putting on any type of mask or any type of performance to keep the day going, I'm there. But the second I feel like I gotta do something or I am performing for approval, I gotta go. It's just not working no more. Okay, step 2, I want us to redefine what success looks like. In my 20s, early 30s, success was about the aesthetic. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I could make it look like my life was on track, or if I could make it seem like I was successful, or even make it seem like I was confident, or make it seem like I was this woman that I was cosplaying as, then it was fine for me. But I think in your 30s, or I don't know, maybe if you're in your 20s and you're watching this and you want to adopt this, cool. But success is no longer for the aesthetic. It's legit alignment. Because if you realize and you know that you are aligned, then everything just kind of starts falling into place. So in the scripture, Matthew 6:33 maybe? No, maybe that's not it. I don't know. Look for yourselves. But it says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness and everything else. I think it's really important that we start, first of all, seeking God so that he can make our identity clear and plain to us. Okay, now this one is going to suck, but the 3rd step I would say would be to grieve who you thought you were going to be. I thought that I would be somewhere completely different by the time I turned 35. I just didn't think that this is where my life was going to be. Back at home, living with my parents, this ain't it. So it's almost like you have to grieve the version of the self of who you thought you were going to be so that you can put that to death and allow the new woman to be reborn. Not reborn, but to be born. That's really hard for a lot of us, especially when you're dealing with traumas or just unimaginable situations and you're like, how in the world can I move forward from this? You literally, and when I'm talking about grieve who you thought you were, I mean, it's because at this point, after you've redefined what success looked like and you're clear about what that version looks like, there are going to be a lot of things that have to be put to death. You cannot your new life is going to cost you your old one. Certain things you cannot take. Certain people cannot come. Certain habits cannot come. You've got to grieve this old version of you, this comfortable version of you, the one that was acceptable and palatable by most of the people, because as you begin to go to this new direction, it's going to make people uncomfortable, and people are going to talk about you, and people are probably going to start acting weird, and you may have to sever some relationships. So you've got to understand what it's going to cost. It's going to cost you something, but it's going to pay off. But you got to grieve. You're going to have to pre-grieve what's coming. Yeah. Your new life is going to cost you your old one. Okay. Step 4, renew your mind daily. I know we talked about allowing God to transform our minds, and this is coming from Romans 12:12. But this is a daily process. And literally me even coming out here today is a part of me renewing my mind. I had a conversation yesterday where somebody was just like dumping on me. Like, you did this and you did that, and I think you're this kind of person. And I sat there and I took it, but it was almost like I was trying to put a shield up. Somehow it kind of got inside of me though. And I've been on this, like, I've been like in a good mood. Like, I've been making sure that my spirit is good. I'm upbeat, especially, the weather's changing. So I have to be intentional about tending to my emotions, because girl, I be wanting to stay in the bed, and that's the quickest way to slip into a depression. And I had been doing good, but then I noticed some of those words were seeping into my spirit, and I was like, we gotta pray. I need to listen to me some positive sermons. I watched a couple sermons and listened to some worship music. I was like, I got to get that out. It is a continuous process. It's not just this one-time thing where you're gonna wake up and be like, oh, life is good. And yes, God is the leader in the transforming of your mind, but you gotta, it's a continuous work. It's not just a one-time thing. So in my practice, renewing my mind daily looks like keeping a routine, making sure my mornings are starting the way that is reflective of how I want my day to go. Making sure that I'm doing my gratitude. I write in my gratitude journal at night. All of these things are very important in making sure that my mind is continuously like at a steady state that's able to see and recognize positivity. Like, you got to be able to see it. If you want to, in order to recognize miracles, you got to be looking for them, right? So that's kind of how I want to, frame that. Okay, my 5th one is kind of take it from my 4th one. I feel like I motor mouth my way into my 5th one. But the 5th one is build routines that reflect the woman you're becoming. So we talked about, once you realize the woman the direction that you're going, you got to show up every day as her. One thing, and it sounds ridiculous, the woman that I'm becoming, I used to feed my kids in the morning for breakfast cereal, Lucky Charms, Frosted Flakes. That was just what breakfast was. And this version of myself, no, this woman wakes up early and she makes her children a nutritional breakfast. So what does that look like for me? It looks like, and I hope no nutritionists don't come on here and eat me up, but fruit and bacon and toast. I've been making that every morning, and it makes me feel so good to provide that for my family, for my kids. And it looks different for everybody. And for somebody that may sound ridiculous, but for me, that is a sign that I'm becoming her, the woman that I'm supposed to be. Breakfast, making breakfast. And also we talked about just waking up at like 5 in the morning. I don't necessarily have to start moving, or I don't work out at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning, but I'm gonna be up. Some mornings that looks like working out. I might get up and work out at 5 o'clock in the morning. But some mornings I might just sit in the bed and listen to worship music, or some mornings I might journal, or some mornings I might listen to a sermon on YouTube or something like that, or a podcast. But I'm up because the woman I'm becoming, she makes time for herself at the beginning of the day. So be clear about who you are becoming, and build habits that reflect her. Not who you are. We talked about grieving your old life, because all those old habits got to die. All of it, that staying in bed, not picking up behind yourself. And that's for me, because I have a hard time just keeping everything clean. I feel like I can keep like some spaces clean. Like I can keep this room clean and this room clean, but whole house is really hard for me. but I also know like the type of house that this woman wants to live in, and that's a pretty nice sized house, and it's going to be a lot of responsibility. So now I'm keeping in practice, keeping my space tidy, everything tidy, even picking up behind the kids. Everything needs to be tidy because, my big girl house is coming, and you can't have a big girl house you can't have no nasty big girl house. It's just not gonna work. So go ahead and start building the habits for your future self so you can start showing up as her. So by the time you get what you praying for, you already know how to keep it. That's key. Number 6 is probably the most important step of all. And I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying this, and I'm never going to stop saying this. Establish your non-negotiables. Be clear about them. Do not compromise. So we talked a little bit last video about my non-negotiables. I have to pay my tithes as soon as I get paid. I have to work out 3 times a week. That's why I'm here on a Saturday, because I worked out Monday and Wednesday. Did not do anything Thursday and Friday. The week is about to be over with, and it's a Saturday morning. It's cold. Do I want to be here? No, but my non-negotiable is working out 3 times a week. And specifically, I can go to the gym for 30 minutes, or I can go walk for 45, preferably more than 45, more like an hour. But the point of the fact is, I have certain disciplines that I have to keep me where I'm going. And it's not necessarily that I'm doing this for any type of physical benefits. It's mostly so that I can train my mind for discipline. In 1 Peter, it talks about stepping into action, and I forgot. Something about discipline. Because I put it in here. But it has little to do with any outcome or reaping any type of benefits, and more to do with making sure that I remain disciplined, even when I don't feel like it. Not letting my mood dictate what I'm gonna do. My mood does not change the plan. Plan is the plan, and it's cold. I don't feel like being out here, but the plan is the plan. Gotta pay my tithes. The plan is the plan. I gotta write in my gratitude journal every day. The plan is the plan. It doesn't matter if I feel like it. I can be exhausted, but the plan is the plan. Establish your non-negotiables. And I encourage you to take it to prayer to see what is it that God is requiring of you in this season. I mean, and for my tithes, I'm not that great with money. So I feel like I talked to God, and it was like, God, if I honor you with my first, can you handle the rest? Because I don't really know how to do none of this stuff. And it's been working. As long as I pay my tithes, and y'all heard about what happened last time I didn't pay my tithes. You gotta pay it. Well, you don't have to. I'm not pushing this on you. Some people don't really find importance of it or don't believe in it, and that's on you. But for me, I've seen what happens when I pay my tithes. So that's just a non-negotiable for me. And I don't have many non-negotiables. I think I have 5. And though I do believe that keeping these non-negotiables will have a compounding effect, it's not like I'm saying, one of my non-negotiables is putting, $1,000 in an investment account that for a fact. Now, if you do that, you're going to get, an ROI. Mine may or may not have an ROI. I mean, it's not necessarily, let me figure out the best way to say this. It's not something I'm doing necessarily to see a return. I'm pretty sure that the consistency will build a return, but it's not something that I'm tracking. These aren't goals. These are just guardrails to keep me disciplined. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm not gonna say anything over a week is like a failure, but I extend grace to myself if I fall off. Like, okay, girl, you fell off. You didn't work out 3 times this week, but now you've got to go next week. You got to do it. You fell off for a week. Just give yourself a recovery period. You didn't pay your tithes this time. Maybe you have a 2-week recovery. Okay, just things like that. Establish your non-negotiables, but also come up with a recovery plan in case it doesn't happen. But let's try not to lean on our recovery plan, because non-negotiables should be like a hard line in the sand. Okay, number 7, surround yourself with people that reflect your future. And this is another reason why it's important to be very clear on the direction you're going and your identity. Your new identity, and we talked about in Romans 12 when God talks about sacrificing your bodies so that he can transform your mind and he will start showing you who he wants you to be. Read the first 5 or 6 verses of Romans 12, you'll kind of understand what I'm talking about. And that's when God will start to reveal to you who your identity is in him. Once you are clear, and once you are abundantly clear, it's going to be easy to point out anything that does not align with that. And what I say is, like, now that I am clear about who I am, it's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking when you see certain people, or just even certain places that you might used to love to go, or certain things you used to love to do that you cannot do anymore. It's sad. It's real sad. But you got to choose that path over everything. A new life gonna cost you your old one. So when I say surround yourself with women or people that reflect your future, I mean, so for me, I don't know. It's really hard for me to say because the woman that I'm becoming, I'm not saying she don't need no friends. I think because this season, 20s and my early 30s, I've been blessed with amazing friendships. And I see the importance of them. And I also realize that there are certain things, certain places that you only have to do for yourself. So I don't know, I feel kind of weird saying this, but I feel blessed that I am surrounded with women that I do not mind taking, some women that I do not mind taking to the next version of myself with me. But for some of you, it may be abundantly clear, like, oh my gosh, I gotta start from scratch. Thank God I don't have to start from scratch. I don't know. I feel like I might say this and then some craziness might happen. But I'm grateful for my friendships, and I'm grateful that I don't have to start from scratch. I did have to cut some folks off. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain, I'm talking about, I don't even want to go there. It hurts. But certain people didn't make it. And that's sad. That's sad. But it's worth it. Surround yourself with women that reflect your future. And you may have to seek out some women. Like, hey, if you see some people online that are, doing what you want to do, reach out like, hey, let me treat you to some coffee. Or let's connect on this. Let's exchange ideas on this. Shoot your shot. The woman that you're becoming is worth it. I think once we stop being so weird about being uncomfortable, first of all, that's the first thing. Because the person that you're becoming it's not gonna happen in your comfort zone. So yeah, you're gonna have to reach out to certain women and be like, hey, you good at this, let's exchange ideas. Or you may have to, I'm not saying you have to, but you may have to pay for some type of course or strategy. Who knows? But you gotta do what it takes to be around people that are going in the direction you're going. I was watching this TikTok and this dude was saying that he became a millionaire when he started hanging around other millionaires, because the thing that he wanted, they talked about freely. Whereas, I don't think I have any millionaire friends, but money is just not something that we talk about. I'll be honest, it's just not something that I talk about in my friendships, but I'm pretty sure people that have a surplus of it, it's a common topic. So if you are looking into being money focused or improving your finances, perhaps you should hang around people that are masters in that area. Surround yourself with people that reflect where you're going, and not just necessarily in practice or profession, in character. If you know that you have typically hung around girls and all they want to do is go party and club and blase, maybe you can't associate with that no more. Maybe you need to go find girls that go to dinner and do brunch, and not those kind of brunches, regular brunch. So literally, you have to be clear on the woman you're becoming before everything else starts making sense. And once you are clear on her and the type of women she associates with and the type of connection she has, then you can start seeking those out. And not even seeking those out. Sometimes once you start becoming aligned, those type of people will be drawn to you. But the point is, you got to be clear on the woman you are and show up as her, and the people that are supposed to be in your orbit will snap to it. Okay, number 8, and this is important, especially as Black women. Rest and receive. Allow who God is molding you to be to take place. I feel like you don't have to help God during this part. You got to show up. Yes, you have to be disciplined, but you don't have to help God. Rest and know. I think it's Philippians. It says, y'all, I got to start memorizing my Bible verses. But he who started a good work in you will follow through to completion. I'm going to write it here, but God is going to do it. We have to be disciplined. He is going to show us our new identity, true. And we have to be disciplined about what it takes to get there. But it's not some big project. Well, kind of, yeah, it is. But it's more daily deposits. Just be disciplined about your daily deposits and rest and know that everything, as long as you seek God first, everything else he's going to provide. And I think sometimes this is the hardest part, because we do a couple things, we work out a couple times, and then we look in the mirror and we don't see our abs. You have to rest and know. It's the knowing too, y'all. It's knowing that I'm going in the direction. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly who I'm becoming. And as long as I continue to show up, and as long as I continue to be honest, and as long as I continue to not compromise on my non-negotiables, as long as I continue to be disciplined, it's going to happen. But you gotta know it. You gotta know it for yourself. And that's a part of faith, right? Knowing what you can't see. But when God reveals to you who you are, which is why it's so important that you allow him to lead this transformation. Once you are clear, once God makes it abundantly clear, first of all, clarity is worth more than gold. If you can get clear on who you are, oh my goodness, I think Pastor Mike said something like clarity is heaven's confirmation of who you are and where you're going. Something like that. I believe, I can't remember. I wrote it in my notes, in my journal. But it is so important that we become abundantly clear, like so clear on who we are and where we are going. Because once you can rest in that identity, once you can rest in that is what, in the direction and the path that God has laid forth for you, at this point, it's just about putting one foot in front of the other and knowing that the path that you're walking on is literally walking you to your dreams. But you gotta rest. You can't be forcing yourself or trying to manufacture your own. You can't be birthing no Ishmaels. You can't manufacture your own blessings in this season. In this season, be clear on who you are. As long as you're clear on who you are and you are not compromising and you're showing up every day as her. And that's why it's important that we grieve, put to death the old version of us and walk firmly in the direction of where God is taking us. It's going to be okay. And there is going to be resistance. People are going to try to remind you of a different path or try to take you on a different path. And it might look enticing, but you gotta rest. You have to be sure. You have to rest and know that number one, God has a plan for you. First of all, that God loves you. It's hard to trust a plan of somebody that you don't think has your best interest at heart. But if you believe that God loves you and that he has a plan and that plan is going to work out for your good, it's easier to rest. So my prayer for you is that you become clear on your identity, that God gives you strength to walk in that identity and gives you strength to keep your disciplines, that your mind is fixed. Yes, that your mind is fixed so that you are able to rest and eventually become the woman that God has you to be. That's all for me, y'all. I will see y'all next week. Peace and blessings. I love y'all so much. Have a good day.